go live any second. Bam. What up, Yang Gang? We got a special group of people today for Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day, first and foremost. Go Navy. Sorry. The squids. Oh yeah, well, I didn't tattoo it on me, brother. Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
I definitely got a military tattoo, but I was Air Force, so a little different.
Everybody. We just need a Coast Guard on here.
I think Heidi's also Navy veteran as well. Heidi Day. But she'll be here in a minute. Yeah. What's up, Rob? You're always in the house, man. But the big thing is we did this 1 year ago, and it was a different time. A lot's changed in a year, of course. We've been through some votes that didn't go our way in the right ways we need them to, and Richard kind of led the charge with the No Dems Left Behind, and that's a great organization. And Blair and Mike and let me think, who else was out there in Georgia? You guys had quite a few. You had like 10?
We had Devin Pandy. We had Lindsey Simmons in Missouri, Blair Walsingham in Tennessee, Mia Mason. Do what?
Rob?
Oh yeah, Rob Anderson in Louisiana. We had we had some phenomenal candidates, and at the end of the day, the Democratic Party wasn't going to step in and help us with Blair's race or anything like that, that's the failure of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, if they look at somebody and they say, well, that person isn't going to have a lot of money and that person's running in a red district, and what they do is they make the mistake of saying, I'm not going to participate. And when that happens, the Republicans basically get a free run. And that gives them the ability to, instead of taking money and using it to fight somebody, they get to take that money and throw it on other races to make sure that they can keep certain seats like McConnell and Graham and whatever they want to do. But, we should never allow a race to go without somebody fighting in that battle.
Absolutely. And now we have, on a Veterans Day in 2020, now we know what we're up against is Georgia. All hands on deck. Drop your and grab your socks. Let's go. I whistled for it. We all know what that means. And it's time for action once again, where we're going to rally the troops, go to Georgia and try and dethrone Moscow Mitch and do what's right, and here comes Heidi. There she is. Heidi, the Navy veteran.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. So now we just know that Andrew and many, many, many Democrats from around the country are going to be going to Georgia from coast to coast. They're going down there to take the battle to them on the fronts, and a support role, if you will, because something I think we learned in Iowa is no one in Iowa gave two flying shits what Boyce Littlefield thought in Michigan about what Iowa should do about their votes. I'm not there to change minds. I'm there to make sure other people in the area have a voice and help them get where they got to go. Mm-hmm. We just need to go there and help the Atlanta infrastructure that's already there with the Yang Gang and Stacey Abrams people that's really done a phenomenal job down there, and just be like a support system to say, I'll go down there and drive people to go door knocking. I'm not going to knock on doors. I'm not going to change any minds, and I'm not going to kid myself. We didn't change too many minds in Iowa. The numbers don't lie there. It just didn't work out. But in Georgia, we got to support people from the state that's going to go in there and actually talk to their community members and just kick ass. And I plan on going on July 1st or July. Oh, I wish. January 1st through like the 6th or the 7th. I'm going to be there because I work in a healthcare field. I can't get off during the holidays, so I have to wait till after January 1st to go. But I'll be down there for the election and just to help any way I can that last rush. Do you guys got any kind of soft plans? Or I know Richard said you're on your way.
I'm going to be heading down there, and of course, we need to make sure that I think that we need to go down there and support Stacey Abrams. She has her finger on the pulse. So, I believe that we're going to go to like Savannah. Everybody thinks they're going to just converge on Atlanta. Georgia's a big state. We got to get into those rural areas too. But at the end of the day, I'm planning on, I should be down there probably within the next week or so, at least for a few days, and come back and just keep going back and forth. But yeah, I'm excited, but we also have to make sure that we have the message and especially when you're talking about Dr. Reverend Warnock's opponent, Miss Insider Trading, and also John Ossoff's opponent, I believe, is in the same category.
Yes.
So we have to hammer the fact that they are criminals and they do not deserve to be in positions of authority in this country. They need to be in friggin' jail.
Well, Richard, I guess, and or anyone, everybody, my wife and I were talking about this, and we're just last night, and what you said, Richard, about the rural areas, I think that might be more of a fit for someone like me and my wife and Blair, because I mean, we're farmers, we live in the country, and as much as I'd love to go to Savannah or Atlanta, but if there's any kind of surrogate work that we could do, or specific target advocacy, anything, as we found here in Kentucky, with our election, with our general and our primary election, is if you do not take the rural areas, you do not win. I don't know, but I know how it is with Kentucky. And if you don't take the 606, which is what everyone here in Kentucky is talking about, you are going to lose. So for us, our thinking was find something that productive that we can do in rural areas of Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, and are they that concerned about Atlanta? Really? It's already pretty blue.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think Atlanta's gonna be the headquarters, and they're gonna disperse from there, kind of like Des Moines was. But Columbus is the second largest city on the border with Alabama, and then you got the coastal city. I think it's Macon, Georgia, down on the coast by Florida's coast. So, and there's a shit ton of farmland. So let's really be honest. That's kind of, Mike and Blair and your wife, you guys' is like sweet spot is be like, okay, let's talk to the Abrams people. Say, okay, where's the farming communities with the biggest votes, most condensed kind of exposure we can get to be efficient, and just go. You guys could go knock on doors. You're from the South. You're a neighboring state. I'm from fucking Michigan. Nobody wants to hear me say, well, I had a pop yesterday. Like, wow, pop in your goddamn mouth. So I know my place.
Something that the Mike said, in reference to him and Blair in terms of farmers. A lot of times, a lot of people in this country, when they hear about, the tariffs and how the farmers were attacked, and I hate to say it, I'm one of them. Only thing I think of is Iowa.
Soybean and corn.
Yeah, you got farms all over this country, and you're right. I'm sure that there's farmers in Georgia that also found themselves in a world of hurt. I mean, am I correct? And those are the people that, you guys, going to, their farms and having a conversation with them about, Joe Biden's plan, that if he is successful and we can flip the Senate, can be, mirrored in the Senate to be able to help those farmers. I think you're absolutely right. That's a good thought. I wasn't thinking that, but you're right.
Well, I think it'd be smart to do your research. Go look up what's the deal on peaches and peanuts.
Yeah, do the data dig to see where we should go and be the most productive. I can really relate to anybody. I've lived all over. I've lived in Jersey and Pennsylvania and Delaware and Florida and Louisiana and Texas. But I have to say this on here because I feel like really icky if I don't. I am not a farmer. I have a small farm that I started this year, but I feel like it's a slap in the face to the people who actually feed this country to call me a farmer. So I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, so Blair grows weed. Okay, we got it.
Small cash crop, right?
No, Mike. Now here's something with all of us. Each and every one of us. All of us are veterans. You have to remember that Fort Stewart, Fort Benning, Georgia, those two major bases could absolutely use people like us because you can't campaign on the base, but they're the communities outside of the base where all the military people live and vote. We have a great way of knocking on the door and speaking to those people. I mean, hell, I went to airborne school at Fort Benning, so I'm good.
Well, think about the auxiliary businesses that service that entire base, which is a huge ecosystem.
Yep.
So that's something that, again, if you're going to go in this area, you got to do the data dig, like Blair was saying. You got to find, okay, what's important to this community, what's their crop, what's their infrastructure look like, and then study Joe Biden's specific policies. as a big picture, but then take it back to the local, look up Ossoff and look up the Reverend's policies and be like, this is their plan and this is what they'll bring to the Senate. We got to have a really good stump speech, if you will, for three different points of view of the federal point of view, the state point of view, and then their actual community. And if you have a 3-pillared approach like that and have the opposite of that is the biggest freaking criminals in Congress, honestly, that are under investigation. And I think the one lady running against Dr. Warnock is like the richest member of Congress, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, she's horrible, man. She's
like the richest one. Think about the richest, which is hard to do.
Oh, she millions.
Should be hard to do in Congress.
I think she's worth $50 million is what I saw. 50. And that's an easy selling point and say, you think these sons of bitches are looking out for you? You don't even make 50 grand a year. This lady has 3 more zeros behind her.
Yeah, but you know what though? You may be right. But,
I feel seen.
but you may be right, but that's the problem that we always have.
Yeah,
the majority of these people. I ran in when I ran for Congress in 2018. I was number 1 out of all 435 races in turning red votes blue. I lost to a woman that owned 5 car dealerships that's worth $12 million, who refused to answer questions, would not speak to constituents, and at the end of the day just said, "I'll do whatever Donald Trump tells me to do," and won. And what we found out in this last 2 years where she was a member of Congress, her 5 dealerships all got between they got loans between $350,000 and $1 million each, and those were all forgiven loans, and that was part of the giving it to the filthy rich. So and guess what? I mean, she just won re-election. I mean, it's just these people people just naturally vote against their own interests. Well,
see, I've kind of come up with a funny term I've been playing with, and it's kind of late now that Donald Trump's pretty much gone. I was thinking about coming up with a new term called the DR. You put an R next to your name, but if you put D and an R, you're like a doctorate in conservatism. You're good to go. You got the D and the R next to you. I'm a Donald Trump Republican. You got a doctorate in red votes, and you're just like you're set. And if you say, like you said, Richard, whatever, I'm an R and I support Trump. Bam, you got about 50% right there to start out with in some areas like West Virginia.
West Virginia's horrible. West Virginia, I mean, I'm leaving. I'm breaking ground in North Carolina very soon.
I thought I could convince you to come to Michigan, man, and run against Fred Upton.
Let me tell you something. I spent 24 years in the military, and I spent a lot of time in cold places. Nah, I like it.
That's an easy no, huh?
Yeah. You don't want to go back to
I'm on the back porch, and that's it.
You want to go back to Fort Drum, Richard?
Well, you believe it or not, I went to Afghanistan with 10th Mountain Division, but I went with 4th Brigade out of Fort Polk, Louisiana. I was actually an operations officer in the 82nd Airborne Division, and we come down on a daggone. For me, it would have been a 4th deployment for Operation Iraqi Freedom, and I was like, hell no. I called my branch and said, I don't care. If you got anything going to Afghanistan, let me go. And they're like, hey, 10th Mountain needs you. I said, let's do it.
Wow.
I wasn't about to. It was during that Operation New Dawn, and it was all about just counting equipment and getting it out of Iraq. I'm like, I'm a combat soldier, man. I ain't sitting counting nothing, and I don't count very well anyway. So I've hit my head a lot.
Oh shit! Took a couple hard falls there, huh?
Hey, a couple TDIs. Hey,
yeah, you drop out of the sky, it happens, man. Holy crap!
Yeah, they say it's a landing fall, but it's really always a feet ass head, and that's it.
Yeah.
At about 50 guys working for me in Afghanistan, and I had this guy who was the ultimate scrounger. He was at DRMO every day. He called me up and he goes, "Hey, boss," he goes, "should I pick up 50 brand new sleeping bags?" And our guys had sleeping bags, brand new. I mean, beautiful down mountain sleeping bags. I said, "I'll sign for them, no problem." Gave them out to all my contractors, and they're like, "Why the hell do we need these?" Of course, it was July in Afghanistan. Come December, come January, they were like, "Thank you, Jesus, for these sleep." But Richard, you're talking about counting stuff in Iraq. I mean, you cannot imagine the waste. When people talk to me about the defense budget, literally mountains, not just mountains, but mountains collapsing in mud and water and ice of brand new equipment that was just being bulldozed into holes. And
oh my God.
Let me tell you, when I can remember crossing the border into Iraq at 2:30 in the morning, where I sat on friggin' sandbags and we had wood around our vehicles because we had that hillbilly armor bullshit. We didn't have anything worth a dime. And then when I was in Afghanistan, it was me and 12 other Americans in an entire province. We had some Kiwis, we had some Malaysians, and I'm gonna tell you, man, we were with unarmored Toyota Hilux pickup trucks. We didn't have shit, man. I mean, and we were sucking, man.
That's not.
Boys, didn't mean to derail with the sea story, but when Richard was talking about cold weather in Afghanistan, I just, man.
Let me tell you something. Hey, in Afghanistan, I don't care. I'll spoon with a man any day of the week. It's cold. I don't care.
Are you the big spoon or little spoon, Richard? That's all I want to know.
Hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. When it gets around 60, I'll spoon. I don't care.
That's not even that cold.
You're a romantic, Richard. I didn't know that.
Hey, I'm going to tell you. You should have seen us in Sapper School. Woo.
Oh man. Well, that's why I love the Navy. We got a goddamn generator that puts on some heat and we'll just lock it down, man. So we went all the way up to Russia on my ship in a deployment up to, I can't remember the name of it. It sounds like Baltisk or some shit. But it's cold up there. And you're out there banging ice off the front of the hull of the ship. You're just hit with a sledgehammer, breaking ice off the front of it. You're just freezing your ass off for like 30 minutes, and they have to rotate you in so you can go put your hands in a warmer because your shit is not doing well. And after 30 minutes of sea spray, it was horrible. But I didn't have anybody pointing a gun at my face, so I was okay with that situation.
Feel that.
The elements was our biggest enemy in that moment. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just Vaughn asked here, Richard, or anybody, is anybody going close enough to Fort Bragg? I don't think anybody's got any definite plans.
I'm building a house. Literally, if you go to Holland Drop Zone and then basically go west from Holland Drop Zone, I'm about a mile away. So I should be able to sit on my back porch and watch airborne operations.
So you can just watch them practice.
Yeah, I'll be close. I'm probably about maybe 35, 40 minutes off of Fort Bragg. It's what we're building.
You got any plans there?
Well, I'm going to stick with the No Dim Left Behind. This fits me very well. Going into red rural districts and picking a fight. I love our mission. I love what we do. And I think that, we're on the verge. We're starting to really pick up. And I believe that, we had amazing candidates. I mean, Blair was one of our candidates. And all you have to do is listen to her speak. And you're going to be impressed. You're going to be inspired. And all of our candidates was like that. And, when you're running in red rural districts, the deck is so stacked against us. But we believe that, I'm hoping that Blair rolls it over and runs again. Because, even though we wasn't successful, sometimes you have to run. I'll tell you right now, I lost my congressional race. If I would have just rolled right into the congressional race, I'd have won. I would have won this last time. I would have beat Carol Miller. But I wasn't thinking that way. So I think that a lot of times if you roll it over, you've got a good shot. Everything that Mike said, everything that Blair said, spot on. So, you can't argue with them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's all about name recognition when you're in a rural spot like that too. Is just get your name out there, and then it can only help. I don't know if it is good enough to win, of course, but you just got to survey the land and kind of say, okay, where we're at and where can I make some roadway here and chomp into their lead.
And some places also, I tell people we had a bloodbath in West Virginia. I'm talking about anybody who ran for office as a Republican and said, I love Trump, won. I said it. It went viral. I said, man, people in West Virginia would vote for a damn dog turd if you wrapped it in a Trump napkin. And that's an absolute fact. But, I mean, I tell people right now, because it was so bad, we lost every seat practically. Everybody that ran as a Republican won. And I said, West Virginia is a place where it's going to have to burn to the ground before we can rise from the ashes. Fact.
Well, Trumper says that you should run as a Republican next time.
He's not the only one who says that. Even my local elected Republican officials have behind closed doors asked me to run as a Republican in the next election. It is not something I'm considering at this point. I don't know that I'd ever consider it. If I'm fair enough and my policies are good enough for them to just switch the label next to my name, then they should have the cojones to just vote for who's right, regardless of what party I'm affiliated with.
Maybe that's the pitch next time.
Exactly. Or look at independent. I mean, at the end of the day, you can caucus with the Democrats and things like that. But
they don't seem to really. I don't see a viable path forward for independent candidates. They are completely discluded from the media, from debates, from everything. They don't seem to work with them whatsoever. I am excited to do something, but I'm not ready to reveal what that something is yet. I'm working on a few things.
Good deal. You still doing your podcast?
I am going to continue the podcast. I have some great people that I'm really excited to bring on. And I love the last guest that we had on was actually, she was from Free for Life, which is, they work to end human trafficking. So we actually learned a lot about what needs to be done in the civilian side, but also on the legislative side. So it really gave a good idea of how we can actually combat that instead of just saying, oh, we hate human trafficking, because everybody agrees on that, but not a lot to are actually taking action. So I've learned a lot from the podcast. I definitely want to continue.
Go ahead and promo your podcast. What's it called?
It's called It's Your Vote, and you can find it on Apple. Or you can find it on YouTube, and it's nothing fancy. It's just me chatting with people, having conversations, because I think that's how we move forward, is by having just real down to earth conversations.
That's what we do. But do you go every week or every 2 weeks? What's your schedule?
It's kind of irregular. We're still debating on what kind of timeline we're gonna do, since you guys know I live in no internet zone, no landline, no cell phone service. So there is some logistics with it, because I won't have my office anymore. I'm out of my office here in 3 more days. So I go back to not having internet. So I'll have to sit somewhere to get on Wi-Fi to do the podcast. So
isn't that a shame? I mean, isn't it 2020? And I'm the same way in West Virginia here. We don't have broadband in the majority of my state. I mean, it is an absolute shame. And the thing is we got people that run for re-election and win. And, Shelley Moore Capito talks broadband every friggin' time she runs for office and has never done anything at all. It's a shame.
That's that accountability factor that a lot of people, so we're so pushing, get out the vote, come out and vote, right? But after that, we don't hold people accountable. Like, hey, go to your election officers, go talk to your representatives, call them repeatedly until you actually talk to them. We really have to hold people accountable going forward, not only during the presidential election cycle. And I think that's part of the problem, is people get so disconnected. They don't know what their reps voted or didn't vote on, or whether they showed up or not. They just know about the promises that they hear on their commercials, and that's it. And that's all. They forget about all of that. Come next election, they're like, oh, this sounds great. We need that. So there's this level of accountability that I think we need to push forward to make more change. Also, like you guys said, it didn't matter what they said or did or looked like or promised, as long as they had an R next to their name and said, I'll do what Trump says, they won. There was no accountability. There was no debates for most of them, no answering of questions, no live interviews. It was quite ridiculous.
Well, and I think this is something no Dems could just adopt across the board. Or do you guys have that type of platform, Richard, where you have I wouldn't say a purity test, but a basics, okay, this is what we stand for as a group, broadband for all, whatever you want to call it. Is that something that you guys focus on and no Dems left behind?
We haven't really set anything in terms of, okay, but of course, every one of our candidates were on the same sheet of music for Medicare for all, things like that. Yeah. I will tell you that when I was a state senator, and remember the teacher strike in West Virginia, that right there made a lot of people start paying attention. And I will tell you that a lot of people don't realize it, but everything that you do in most states is completely videotaped. And when you send somebody to be a delegate, or you send somebody to be a state senator, you should pay attention and keep track of those things and see how often your representative actually gets up and gets in the middle of some of these battles that go on. Watch some of the things in the committees. As a state senator, for me, everything that we did was videotaped. And I use that to my advantage because I would get into pissing contests with people. And I mean, we'd have knockdown dragouts and I'd put that stuff online, and just to be a dig at these people. But people have to start paying attention to politics. I tell people everything that you deal with, whether it be the cost of the gas pump, everything that you think about deals with politics. And you got to pay attention because if you're not, these people are going to gut you like a fish when you're not looking.
If you don't play politics, politics plays you. End of story.
Yeah.
And,
we're going to Georgia and we're talking about a woman who used her insider capabilities to friggin' know about the global pandemic before anybody else knew. And what was her actions? Her actions were sickening. I mean, for her to dump stock and then buy stock in PPE companies, that's the kind of stuff right there that a person like that, she needs to see a friggin' jail cell because
they did to Martha Stewart.
Yeah, that's right. That shit doesn't end until people get held accountable. And then once one friggin' senator sees, her go to friggin' jail, it makes them think twice before they do that bullshit. But a lot of these people do it and they don't care because nobody holds them accountable. We need to hold our elected officials accountable.
We had 2 in California as well that all brought up on the same charges. Investigation.
Yeah.
The seat that I was running for, the incumbent who he was stepping down, he did the same thing. He sold out his stock pre-COVID with his inside information. But the crazy part about it is people say, don't you wish you were that smart? Don't you just wish you knew ahead of time so you could make a profit? They didn't seem to understand the moral dilemmas with it, which really blew my mind.
Well, let me tell you the problem with that. And I hate that because I've been talking a lot. But let me tell you something. Donald Trump has convinced people that normally never gave 2 shits about politics to start playing in politics. The only problem is they're not really, they would rather go with whatever this person says, whether we know it's right or wrong. It's like they get into politics because now they think it's funny because they have a president that didn't have a problem going low when he should have been high.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And right now, all these Trump supporters, I mean, look right now, all these people that have screamed, he was your president, you better suck it up, are now as bad as treasonous as I've ever seen. Look at TikTok. And now you got this new, what's called Parler or Pander or whatever the hell it is.
Parlor.
These people
Pander.
They're going to go to a location where if you think right now the CIA is like, this is awesome. They're just watching it, writing shit down. Oh, this guy said he's going to attack. Oh man.
I'm already on Parler stirring up shit. So I made a funny video about an old 2 Live Crew song called "Get the Fuck Out of My House." Get the fuck out of my house, you lying ass bitch. It's like a lyric. And I edited Donald Trump leaving the room in a couple different occasions, and I actually made a funny little 18-second video. And then at the end, it's Obama and Joe Biden with a caption says, "Party at the new house. DM me for the Addy." For the address, and them 2 are like smirking. And I'm not the biggest fan of either one of those, but still, it's funny, and it really pisses those guys off. So I put that on Parler, and of course, I got shit on. It just makes me laugh. I'm like, oh well, you don't hurt my feelings. I'm here just to piss you off. But Parler is like this new 4chan safe space for the snowflakes of the right.
Yeah. Well, I know Blair. Blair comes from a place like me, where everybody is, they want to make you think that they've read the Constitution. They've never read the Constitution. The only thing they know about the Constitution is there's an amendment that lets them have guns. That's the only thing that they freaking know. That's it. That's all they know. They've never read the Constitution. But now all of them are subject matter experts now. I'm hearing I'm hearing things that I'm like, good Lord, man. I mean, goodness gracious. Some of these people are freaking dumb as a damn stump.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I woke up this morning early, and as seems to be happening lately as you get older, and wrote a whole op-ed about the Constitution and about what happened with the decapitation at the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, and sliding in these friggin' Trump toadies last minute. And as it's Veterans Day, which we haven't mentioned in a little bit here, it was really drove me to write this op-ed and say, listen, your soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen, reservists, National Guardsmen, they know more about the frigging Constitution and what their responsibilities are than the average taxpayer. And so I guess it was kind of one of those things where you're, I don't know if you all write, but for me, it's just, you just let it all out.
Yeah.
And, but I ended up, I was like, all right, this can't be a complete bummer. So I wrapped it up at the end saying, hey, listen, you need to trust. And I quoted Mark Milley in his note to the force that he wrote back in June, where he just said, just a reminder, guys, your oath is the Constitution first, and you're only obliged to follow legal orders, no matter what idiot they put in charge of the Department of Defense or who's in charge of, the Undersecretary of Defense for Military Intelligence or whomever they've slid in. And when Richard started talking about the Constitution, it kind of set me off. But it was early this morning, and luckily, Forward Kentucky picked it up and reprinted it right away. Some early morning editing by my friend Bruce Maples, who took care of the typos, grammar, took all the F-bombs out of it. What you would expect. Very good. But hey, who Heidi's just been like quietly sitting there. I want to hear. I want to hear what pissed you off today, because I got something I want to talk about in a few minutes. But
Heidi's gonna kick that setup as you can see.
Yeah, she's a dangerous type. She's the quiet type in a corner, and all of a sudden she comes out and hits the damn Achilles tendon with a razor.
You guys don't actually want to hear from me right now, because I've been I've spent my entire adult life as a Democrat, a liberal, and the last 6, 7, almost 10, close to 10 years, I've been a far leftist. And I've actually come in the last year or so back to the middle. And so honestly, when I hear you, Richard, say things like, when you talk about Republicans and Trump supporters and that, like they're idiots and stuff like that, like that was my mindset for, I'm 38, so 20 years. And I've actually been spending the last, now that it's safe, now that Trump's out of office, I've been trying to understand how we've gotten to where we've gotten. So I've actually been, I'm from Louisiana, I'm from the South, like the rest of y'all, except for boys.
Nope.
I was raised conservative, and I did spend most of my adult life thinking, how was I raised this way? And I'm honestly trying to come back around and really understand it. And I'm just going to be straight up honest here. I think that a huge thing, and I remember this from when I was a kid, was that liberals are supposed to be Democrats are supposed to be for the working class, right? We're supposed to be the unions, families, we're women's rights, so, civil rights, but we are just the most sanctimonious. I saw this meme the other day and I laughed at it, where they were like, if you have a bowl that looks like this and it's a plastic bowl that has spaghetti in it, they're like, you don't have to worry about Biden's tax plan, right? Or they're like, if you have a dirty pillow, it's just memes. You don't have to worry about Biden's tax plan. And it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, you're supposed to represent those people, right? But you are holding your nose above them and being like, you're supposed to be a part of us, but we don't really think much of you. Well, so that's why y'all didn't want me to say nothing. That's why I'm sitting over here in the corner. Because that's okay. Been and Andrew Yang said it the other day on CNN, and he got shit on. He said, these coastal, elites they're, what's that?
He said the urban elite.
Yeah. The coastal urban elites they're over here dividing us with our class war, a cultural warfare, when they used to be the party. How are you going to go? If we're going to Georgia and we're trying to talk to farmers, how are we even going to sell that to them if we just see ourselves so above them?
No. Understand. I don't think that I'm above or we're above anybody. My key thing is what I'm seeing. What I am currently seeing right now is, especially where I'm from, is a bunch of people that are, they're refusing to accept. And I'm watching people that are absolutely trying to say they want to take up arms and that kind of stuff. And those people are dumber than a friggin' stump.
Yes. Are they a majority of people? Like, for instance, my family's all in Louisiana. They're all Trump supporters. They're all conservative Christians. They all wear their masks, right? So, like, when they go out, my mom has cancer. There's no argument about it. They wear their masks in public. They're not the ones that are like, calling people, liberal babies or whatever. So is that a large portion of them that are kind of like with the Bernie bro narrative that we all fell into? We thought Bernie bros were all like these horrible, evil people, but it's like, really, with 40 million people that horrible and evil? Or is it like just the loud ones? Like, is this really, like I said, like with my family, I'm in my family chat, they're all Trump supporters, they're all like irritated about, election fraud, whatever, but they're not staging a coup. They're not, so is that really a thing that 73 million, we're worried about 73 million people,
For me in West Virginia, where I'm from, I will tell you, Donald Trump won this state like 69 point something percent.
Yeah.
I will tell you that for the last 2 months, it seemed like every day in my hometown, they did it looked like friggin' ISIS with Trump flags and all that stuff.
I live in South Dakota, and I did see some of that, like Trump flags and people's trucks on election night.
Every day. I'm going to tell you right now, I literally, every time I go to the store, I'm prepared for a fist fight.
Wow.
That's a fact. When I ran for Congress, I ran in the reddest district in the country. The 3rd Congressional District of West Virginia is the reddest district in the country. It's all the damn poorest, and that's the thing is that, it breaks my heart. I'm going to tell you this. I'm leaving. I have to leave. I'm tired of everything that I have built. They have killed. I made West Virginia the 29th state for medical cannabis, and they have done nothing. They have not pursued anything in that. And just recently, instead of giving people in West Virginia the capabilities to be the ones that grow, they've let billionaires and millionaires from out of the state come in and get all the contracts. My state shoots everything that is good in the foot. I started an ROTC program that became the 2nd largest program in the entire state of West Virginia, and they killed it because it was my program. I'm ready to leave this state, and I'm not looking back. When you bust your ass for a place, it's hard. I was almost murdered. I took a pipe to the back of the head and 8 broken bones in my face with brass knuckles 2 days before I won my state Senate seat. I won my state Senate seat from the emergency room. And that's how it is for me. Every time I go to Walmart, I have to be ready to friggin' throw down. I go to the gym 7 days a week because I ain't letting the blade go dull. And I'm not trying to act like a badass, but I'm just telling you, there's certain places in this country where these people are looking at Donald Trump not like a leader. They are looking at him like he is the second coming of Christ. And those places, I honestly believe that it is going to have to burn to the ground before these people rise from the ashes. And that's it. And I'm not going to stay here and deal with that bullshit. I'm going to go elsewhere, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to just friggin' live my life.
So are the Republicans in North Carolina better?
North Carolina was a toss-up for a while. So I at least got to say there's, and then again, too, like I said, I lived in North Carolina. I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina for almost 20 years. If you want to stay at a place like Fort Bragg, you can. As long as you volunteer to continue staying, they'll let you stay at those places. But you're going to deploy a lot. You're going to do a lot of good training. But I will tell you, I like it there. I think North Carolina's just a wonderful place, and it's better for my family.
Yeah.
Safer. That's a damn good start.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I will say West Virginia is a category in and of itself. I used to live in Virginia, and so I can see that.
Our governor is absolutely the worst governor in the state. I'm not state, but in the country. He's one of the worst in the country. And
my governor is Kristi Noem.
Well,
South Dakota.
Let me tell you something. My governor has orange shit all over his face because he keeps his head up Trump's ass. And that's all he cares about. That's all he cares about.
Cheeto. Got Cheeto breath, huh?
Yeah.
Mine too. I feel that.
Cheeto dust all over his face.
Well, mine is that damn woman from Michigan, and I'm proud of her. For
Hell yeah.
She's a great leader. I'll take it. This is her first term too. She dealt with this shit in her first term, like a champ too. She's like, I'm not gonna stop going out, man. Fuck you.
Boys, when I saw those guys up there who were plotting and kidnapping, it reminded me of that prayer by Voltaire where he said, "I only had one prayer, Lord, make my enemies ridiculous." And luckily there was just dumbassery. Like,
okay, I'm not an atheist anymore. If that's what God does, I get it.
I gotta tell you, when I started running, because people said, "Do you feel safe running?" And we're here in a lonely place. It's a quarter mile to the mailbox from our house, and people said, "Do you feel safe?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I started getting these notifications on Facebook. People are actually discussing how to get to my house, how far they were. They're going to come teach me a lesson, and putting Google satellite photos of my house and maps of my farm and things like that.
Wow.
And luckily, they're so friggin' stupid that they included my name. It linked to my name. So I'm getting notifications saying you are. I mean, if these people were any smarter, it might be a problem.
But make no mistake about it. Look at what was going on in Michigan. These people were putting together a plan, and we're talking about they had a plan to use Molotov cocktails to destroy the police. Yeah. So, let me tell you, there's a lot of these people across this country. And I will tell you, I've been telling this to a lot of people. I've been telling them, you guys keep this bullshit up. I said, the last thing that you want is to have the global response force friggin' at your front damn door. And I will tell you that you got to be stupid to think that our intelligence in this country is not already on to a lot of these people. This whole thing, or this mass exodus from Facebook to this Parler, whatever it is, do you honestly think that we don't have people in this country that are specifically watching these people and the things that they're saying? I've already seen it.
It actually makes it
easier. You should assume that anything you put online is in a file somewhere,
Yeah, I have already spoken with the FBI. Apparently there's a local group of the Proud Boys that are planning something against me. I mean, that's the kind of shit that goes on. And that's the world in which we live right now. And it's a shame.
Can we highlight Trumper for Yang? He said something, and I've bit my tongue through a lot of this. We need to stop making enemies of each other. That is the key to reuniting this country. And that's what I try to do every single day. And talking about Trump supporters being stupid, there is a correlation between low education and being able to be duped and believing lies and bullshit. So if anything, we need to focus on educating these areas. But I live in a spot that's very much like Richard was talking about, right? So it really doesn't matter what was said or what was done. They're going to vote against themselves repeatedly. But we have to ask why. And why do they spit at me and cuss me out just for running? I've had, water thrown on us, things thrown at us, fumes from trucks, because they think they're a badass blowing, out their truck on us like we're going to go somewhere. Or why do I even deserve that? And I get less of the death threats and more of sexual harassment from running. And they think it's okay to say these things to me because I'm a Democrat. And that's part of the problem is they have divided us. And I say this all the time, the whole, together we stand, divided we fall. When they keep us pinned against one another, we are not focusing on bettering our country, and we're fighting over the low-hanging fruit issues. And I just think that it's not the way to make things better.
Yeah. And I want to say, God bless you all that are blue running in these red areas, because I can't even imagine that. I want to say also that, You guys, I think we've got Army and Marine Corps on the right side of the screen, and we've got Navy on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Boyce and I over here are not running for office. I don't know if that says something about our branch. Boyce might be.
Heidi, I was Air Force.
We have it, and you guys have. So, I mean, my hat is off to you guys for being where you are and doing what you're doing.
Blair scored higher than we did on the ASFAB. She got the Air Force. Wow. Way to go, Blair. Way to go. Me and Mike are over here freaking licking our toes and shit, you know.
Hey, I got to tell you something. I was on I've been co-hosting a show called The Jones Report. The real just shit hot woman from Louisville, Kentucky. And boy, I'll tell you what, she took me to school the other night though, because we were at this exact same issue that we're talking about, is like, oh, how do we educate? And this woman's a friend of mine, and she just burnt me right down to the waterline. And she said, it's just racism. That's what it is. And you know, as a black woman, she was just incensed that we can dress up, because when you go through and you say, well, they're going to vote against their self-interests. They're going to, you know, they vote. You know, you've got organized labor voting for candidates who are against organized labor. You've got millions of people who are dependent on the Affordable Care Act who are willing to vote against someone because you slapped a label on it called Obamacare, the black guy. And I got to tell you, this friend of mine, and we are friends, and she just burnt me down to the waterline as I tried to walk through this, talking about, oh, we need to educate people. And so what she told me was, Mike, she goes, there is a real measurable percentage of people who are responding to these issues only because of racism. And you know what? She was friggin' right.
You're right.
She was absolutely right. And Richard lives in West Virginia. I live in Kentucky. And is it all of them? No, I wouldn't use that broad brush, but it's a lot of them. And the thing is, it's friggin' generational. And it goes on year after year after year. You know, I substitute teach in our public schools, and kids come to, you know, second graders come to school with Confederate flag shirt that says it's not racism, it's my heritage. Yeah. They're getting that at their parents' knee.
You're
and
right.
so
I gotta go. I got a podcast in about 10 minutes, so I'm gonna hop off here. Thank you guys for letting me on here. Great seeing you again there, Blair. Mike, hey, awesome.
I'll see you in Georgia.
Do what? Podcast.
Do what?
What's the name of your podcast?
No. I'm just going live on YouTube. I'm starting my Mevo camera tonight, so I get to go live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. But we're getting ready to start a podcast. It's going to be called Airborne. That's right. Welcome to Airborne. I'm your host, Richard Ojeda. Airborne.
There you go. Richard,
awesome.
If you need help producing it, just let me know. I got time. I can help you put that shit together and put it up on the website and shit. So.
Awesome. That's great, man. All right, man. That's
the best. Good seeing you, brother. Happy Veterans Day.
Airborne.
Rich.
Bye, guys.
Hey guys, I gotta go get my Applebee's free dinner.
Man. I would not admit that. Holy crap!
I just realized it's 6:00, man. I don't know what time it's going. So.
Oh.
I'll stay a few more minutes.
Heidi,
fair enough.
Heidi, it's so good to see you again, though. It really.
You too. How are you doing since it's been a while?
Good. Hey, you know, as you can see, I'm tanned. I've gotten in a lot of farming. You know, a year's worth of neglected farming. I did a lot of work for, not a lot. I did as much as I was asked to for Amy McGrath. And she took up, you know, and I have to tell you that actually it was not as weird as I thought it was going to be, you know, and the response was people were so happy to see me keep my word when I said I'm going to fight for the person who wins the primary. And so, I mean, yeah, there was the occasional nasty comment, but almost, I'm happy to say 99% of the response was, you know what, we can trust you. You're the man of your word. You said you'd support whoever won. And here you are out here, you know, braving the pandemic. Yeah. And, you know, it was a shame here. I don't know if you followed our Senate race, but in the last couple months, you know, McGrath came out swinging, and at every opportunity I said, this is the Marine that I want to see. I want to see some blood flowing, and you know, it wasn't enough. And I didn't mean to be hectoring you all about, but it just kind of set me off. The you know, we need to get together because, like I said, a good friend of mine, this I've been working on the show with. I mean, we're friends. We are like beloved friends, and she just took me to school in public when I said that exact same thing. The black lady with a black son, who she fears for every time he walks out the damn door.
What's the name of the show you guys did? What's the name of the
It's
show?
called the Jones Report, and it's by Jones Media, and it's just wonderful. Kimberly Cecil Jones. No, it's like I'm so lucky during my campaign to meet her because, you know, Blair and Heidi, you probably ran across this person in an area who knows everybody. You know, that was Kim.
Didn't I meet her outside the stadium?
Yeah. You met Kim and her son Denzel.
Yes, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes, she is a fireball. I like her.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can imagine her wearing my ass out as I tried to talk about Kumbaya. So,
yeah, I love people that's got that belly full of fire. You know, is ready to just spew it on you. Be like, you know, wait a minute. I have a different experience. You know, I've seen the world from different lens, and like my girlfriend's black, and her son's black, and my oldest son's you know, biracial. My niece and nephew are biracial, and I live in a very diverse area where we have the vocal minority in our area here. Like when I was staying outside the Benton Harbor Public Schools, the high school, they had the voting station there. And it was really awesome. They had a drum line there. It was so cool, like the national championship drum line dance team of some sort for like, these kids were like 9 to like 12, 14, somewhere in there, kicking ass, just from Michigan City, which is about an hour away, 45 minutes away, to sit outside of a high school in Benton Harbor on election day and just entertain people and bring out the vote. And then you have those little jack-offs, those little punks driving by. You can still vote for Trump with the little punk-ass microphone. They don't stop. I had my Black Lives Matter hoodie on and shit. And I just stood there and I'm the white guy in the parking lot like this, like, fuck you. They drove by. I'm like, fuck you. And they would not stop. Like, stop and come on over here and talk to us like that. You know, I got a little irritated that day. I got tired of these motherfuckers circling the place, trying to intimidate, you know?
Yeah.
And so all the people just ignore them. I was like, fuck that shit. And I went out on the sidewalk and I just stood there. I was like, fuck all you motherfuckers in that truck. And they stopped at the red light and I walked to the red light and yelled at them. I was like, fuck you, punk motherfucker. You know, I lost my shit for a second. I was like, you guys are going to keep on driving like some punks. That's what I thought, bitch, you know, and, you know, just left it at that. But I was really getting tired of it. And I can only imagine what I was like for me being there for 3 whole hours. Imagine living there, these motherfuckers circling your neighborhood, if you will. They drove that punk-ass Trump train bullshit with their compensating pickup trucks through the most poorest neighborhood. And like you said, Blair, revving it up with their little black smoke and their damn diesel trucks and Trump, you know, it's just such a, I call it y'all-Qaeda. You know, I've heard that term, y'all-Qaeda instead of Al-Qaeda. It's the same bullshit. But they've been terrorizing this fucking neighborhood, trying to intimidate people and drive through town. And these motherfuckers got nothing else. But they talk about protesters. You know who's protesting? Unemployed motherfuckers.
They've yelled that at me at a protest. They're like, get a job. I'm like, I have 2.
Yeah, and then they come around the little Trump train, like you said, like Richard said, every single day they get together and take a lap around town and, you know, do their thing. And it's just such a, you know, of course it's double standards across the board. But I'm ready to move on, you know, as far as the country goes. Let's move on. We got to figure out what happened. Like now that it's kind of like the Oklahoma City bombing, you know, McVeigh blew the shit out of the place, killed a lot of kids and innocent people. How do we get there?
Yeah, that's the big thing is we have to understand where what led us to where we are right now, and how are we going to change that for the future? Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think Joe Biden's going to heal the nation. I think like what Andrew always said on the trail is Trump was a symptom. He wasn't the disease. So I will be honest, I see us in 4 years being at this place again, right? With Trump running again. Oh my God. Or Trump Jr. What's that?
I think he'll be in court for the next 10 years for tax.
Yeah,
fraud.
or his kid. Like they're gonna be. It's just revenge and revenge and revenge. It's like a cycle of revenge, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest. On each side, they think that they are right? Like and this is what. And Boyce, you will understand this. It's religious terminology that people use anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like it is good versus evil, and that's a little scary, right? Because it's very absolute.
Yeah, it's an absolute statement with a black and white, and there's a line in the middle, and real world shit is blurry as hell.
Yeah.
We all live in the fog, man. There are clear extremes, but in the middle is the rest of us. It's just like the Bell's curve. There are fringe bad actors. Then there's the rest of us in the middle that make up probably 80% of the country. We got 10% radicalized people in all different directions on the edges. And the edges have gotten a little thicker. It's shaped more like a pizza than a damn paper plate, you know? So the edges are just getting built up with more people are being pulled in their direction because of this tribalism. This labeling of people is like all Trump supporters are racist or they're homophobes. Or this label, that label, you know,
or liberals are all socialists or whatever, you know. And the thing is 86% of Americans like sit in the middle. These are like the wings that are saying this at each other, right? This isn't most Americans. So that most Americans are just sitting here like, oh shit, what's going on? You know, like
I gotta say I disagree. Screw it. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm too old to indulge in this bullshit. But if you want to fight these religious people, it's real simple. You bone up on your New Testament. You bone up on the Beatitudes. You bone up on the Sermon on the Mount. And when these stupid people who claim to be Christians want to start talking to you about supporting Trump, you just hit them with the fundamentals, the words of Jesus Christ, and you just see their eyes glaze over, and their mouths, their jaws lock open because it is just a cover for their crap. And Heidi, no offense, but I'm not buying it. They're not in the middle. They're not.
No. 86% of Americans fit in the middle. Is what I'm saying. Hate-filled
piece of turf with some religious cover. And if you are a real Christian and you understand the Bible, you read the New Testament, if you believe in the word of Jesus Christ, and you think that these people are Christians, they're liars. This is the thinnest veneer of bullshit over hatred. And don't mean to seem all angry and cranky old white guy, but Jesus Christ, I swear to God.
Tone it down. Come on.
I'll tell you what, though. You go into and I don't know how much time you spent in town halls, but you want to shut one of these idiots up, ask them what the most important commandments are. Right after, loving God. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, come on, what's the next one? Let's hear what the next one is.
Yeah. I call it cherry picking 101. It's like the people they're the same people who think they understand the Constitution and they lead with the Constitution. It's like, the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and forget all the rest of it. Yep.
Second Amendment, I get my guns, and the rest of it is pretty good too. And that is it. That's all they know. And if you don't call them out, and what the hell do I know? I got 6% of the vote in Kentucky. But I'll tell you what, I didn't stand there and take crap from people who wanted to quote scripture or the Constitution to me. My tolerance for bullshit has gotten so thin lately. A good friend of mine who's got a huge Twitter following, a really, really popular podcast here in Kentucky, and this is Veterans on Veterans Day is something we should talk about, said, just a reminder, happy Veterans Day, but most people who join the military are poor people who join for money for college.
Absolutely.
Which is absolutely, as we all know, 100% bullshit. And I called him out on Twitter and I said, you have no data to back that up. And then he backed off the poor people because then he shows a graph going, well, they're mostly middle-class kids. It's like, okay, so half of what you said is bullshit, but you're still sticking with it.
It's the other half of bullshit.
And this is a friend of mine. This is someone who I respect. This is a good liberal person. But whether they're conservative or liberal, you cannot let it stand. I'm at a point in my life where I'm just not going to take it anymore. I mean, I'm sorry Richard's gone because, If I'm 7, Richard's 11. But I'm getting but I am getting.
Oh, Blair, we gotta start speaking up.
I'm honestly over here trying to bite my tongue on a lot of this because I have a lot of feelings on both parts. I've got 2 I would consider extremely good friends of mine I made over this campaign that 100% voted for Trump, and they're very smart, very caring women, and they also voted for me, and that's where the disconnect is for me. How can you vote for me and also vote for Donald Trump? But that was my goal through this campaign. But I'll also say about the military, they come into my child's school to talk to 10 to 13-year-olds saying, this is your only path out of this town. This is the only way you will ever do anything with your life is by joining the military. And they tell these kids that is their only option. They literally are preying on these poor little children. They literally brought recruiters into my child's middle school and told them this.
From where?
In middle school?
This is it's in Tennessee, Clinch Valley School, where my kids went, this past year.
Let's not identify the kids, personal information, but
those are my kids. So.
Right. But who were they? I mean, was it National Guard or Army or?
I believe it was our Army National Guard that came in.
Insane. Wow.
Well,
that should not be allowed.
There's some rules, right?
And I was really upset. And I had to tell him that is not your only path. It's really hard for me because this is something that I fought this whole campaign through. Is my friends' kids will come over and I say, "What do your parents do?" And they're like, "Oh, my dad is dead. My mom is a drug addict. My dad smokes crack. We don't have electricity." And then you've got this Army recruiter coming in saying, "We can get you out of this if you only join the military." And they're given no other options. So that's something that's particularly upsetting to me, is that these kids are already getting a shit start at life, and then they're told this is the only thing that you will ever be able to do. So I'm not saying that everybody joined. I joined the military, and I came from a middle class. I wanted to join for all the right reasons, but I know a lot of people who didn't, or they didn't have any other way to get out of bad situations. And that's what we need to look at the root causes again of how did it end up that way, and try to actually fix it.
Yeah, I will admit I'm from Louisiana. That was my story. Like, I graduated second in my class, right? And I had a full scholarship to college, but I didn't have a car. Do you know how hard it is to go to college? And only one other kid in my class went to the same college, and we went to school on different days. That is a reality. That was my reality, right? I joined the military for the education benefits. Education benefits I even already had because I graduated at the top of my class, but my family was poor. They didn't have a car. I was one of 11 kids. I was helping support my family, right? We had cars, but that was to go to work. That is a reality, right? For a lot of people. And for a lot of people, the military is a way out of that. And and I don't like that they're there. I'm talking to middle schoolers. The military helped me out a lot. I was in a pretty a dead end, right? When I realized, I was like, oh shit, I always thought college was how you get out of this, right? This is what I thought. And then it's well, what the shit am I supposed to do now, right? So for me, it was that. South Louisiana is very poor. So, but I'm going to have to draw the line at literal middle schoolers hearing this shit, right? I didn't hear that shit till I was 18, right? I had a college education totally lined up for me.
Blair's talking about the Tennessee National Guard and the Tennessee Public Schools.
That's not cool.
I guarantee you, I spent 3 years in recruiting. My wife spent 3 years in recruiting. Just didn't happen in our experience. This is the Tennessee National Guard going to Tennessee Public Schools.
I mean, maybe they believed it. Maybe they think they're doing a good thing and letting these kids know that you can join the military and get out of this. Maybe they really believed in that. But to me, I was really offended and upset by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, though, but statistically, and we're supposed to believe in math. I mean, looking at the signs on the wall, we're supposed to believe in math. What is it? Only 22% of kids in America are actually part of the QMA, right? Qualified military applicants, mentally, morally, and physically qualified. That's a pretty damn small pool. And when you narrow it down to the middle class, where the bulk of them come from, we are not talking in your class, the impoverished, Louisiana, or we're not talking about, inner city, west of 9th Street in Louisville, because statistically, because we believe in math, that's not who we recruit. My county recruiters have, other than the National Guard, have abandoned my county because it's not worth the effort.
Oh, wow.
Because finding someone who has not been on antidepressants, someone who is not obese, someone who has not got type 2 diabetes, who's not smoked crack or taking an opioid, so this, you start drawing this Venn diagram. And and again, I spent 3 years as a recruiter. My wife spent time as a recruiter. But when people talk about how easy it is and how you're preying on people, when you start drawing a Venn diagram who is mentally, morally, and physically qualified to be in the military, it's a pretty small target. It is that X ring on the bullseye. So my heart goes out to recruiters. I absolutely, Blair, I do not support them. Now, if it was career day, and the fire department was there, and the local car salesman was there, and everyone else was there, that'd be fine. But that is wrong. But we have a weirdly opposite effect here, where the recruiters have basically, we don't go to your county because it is just not worth the drive and the effort.
Well, I think in my area too, in Michigan, there's like certain schools, affluent schools, have like ROTC programs anymore at all. Like my two daughters go to St. Joe, Michigan, which is a very affluent public school. It's a very high, performing school. Lots of money, lots of wealth in that community. And they have a Navy ROTC at that high school. And then 20 miles away, there's a Marine Corps one. And then it's kind of spread out throughout the county at the affluent schools. Because the school I went to in a small town of I think we had 300 and something kids in our entire high school. They used to come to our lunchroom every month. Mm-hmm. First Monday of the month, the recruiters are there handing out pens and paper and stickers and shit, to put on your backpack, to put on your little trapper keeper, all that bullshit back in the day. Just so you kids know, trapper keeper is what we used to write shit on.
Hey, boys, let me say real quick. One of my recruiters up in New Hampshire recruited 3/4 of the graduating class boys to the Marine Corps. 3/4 of them. That fourth kid would have gone in if he wasn't colorblind. There were literally 4 senior boys in this high school, but I had another high school in New Hampshire that was one of those 99% to college high schools, and another one of my recruiters would put in a dozen or more from that school every single year. And so, I'm one of those people who believe that people, for the most part, join the military because they're looking for something better than themselves. I mean, money for college is what you tell your mom and dad. That's what I found. But when you would sit down and you would talk about, tangible and intangible benefits, when you sit down face to face with a 17-year-old kid and said, "What are you looking for?" And here's my experience. This is what they tell me. I just want someone to tell me the difference between right and wrong. I want to know that I'm on the right side of things. I want to feel like I'm part of something. Those kind of intangible things. Yeah, you tell your mom you joined. You tell your mom you joined for money for college, but because it's embarrassing, and your friends too, and it's embarrassing to admit that you just are looking for something a little bit bigger than yourselves. But let me share something. I got a text just moments ago from a high school friend of mine, and we were one of those 99% to high school. 99% to college high schools. And he and I served in the Marine Corps together. And he worked in the 80s. He worked for me in Afghanistan in the 2000s. And we served together in the Horn of Africa as contractors in 2016. And we are lifelong friends. This is a guy who's done whatever he's wanted to. And now he's a Unitarian minister of all things. And but our lives have been together and been tied together through the service. And though I think our individual motivations were different, I honestly know people join the service for more transactional. They want money for college, they want a job, et cetera, et cetera. But I would not discourage anybody of good heart from joining. Because
never, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I think it's incredibly transformative. Yeah, there's, as I told you guys, I wrote this op-ed in anger this morning, which is probably bad. But people come in, as we all know, people come into the service with the prejudices and the perceptions of their life, their families, their religion. And I think that I feel very comfortable saying most people are transformed for the good.
Definitely.
And again, somebody give me the high sign if I'm boring the crap out of you. But when I'm like this. But when I was teaching at Berkeley, I would get being the only guy in uniform on the faculty, you get invited to a lot of things, and one of the things my colleagues would always ask is, "What do you think of the draft?" That was like their biggest. Of course, it was Berkeley. They were still talking about the draft, like it's 1968. But I would tell them, I said, it's horrible for the military, but great for America. And their heads would be just like, what do you mean? I said, listen, as a commander of troops in combat, I don't want anybody there who's not a volunteer. But to take people from whether it's around Maine or Motown or Louisiana, and then at least for a while force them to live peaceably with people of different race, creeds, colors, sexual orientations, for the most part, will be a positively transformative experience. And that's why here on Veterans Day, I ended up being really pissed off at 5 o'clock this morning as I was busily, but because I think for the most part, no matter what your motivation to come in, you end up being a better person. So
I can agree.
Republican, conservative, and I exited very, very liberal. So
that might be the same for me. Yeah, my parents are Republican, my grandparents are Republican, my dad still voted for Trump. Yet here I am. So maybe that's what did it. And I do contribute my military experience because I got to get outside of a bubble. I mean, I was a military brat, so I moved all over and got to meet people. But that's one of the things I actually loved is Andrew Yang's exchange program that he had in his policies, because I have kids here. Let's go back to my kid's school for a second, where a kid said the Jews deserve to die in his school. And then it turned into a racist conversation and no adult intervenes in this conversation whatsoever. So when we're talking about getting some culture, it's a 98% white zone here. They're not meeting different people, different cultures, different ways of life. They're not seeing this. They're only knowing what they're taught, or like Mike was saying about this racism that's passed down generationally. They might not even know. It's just something that has come to them through their family lives or lack of experience.
Whatever this racist, it's a fact in their life.
Mm-hmm. So they need that exposure, and the military definitely can help provide that and let you, bond and really learn. It's important, and it's definitely great. And I can agree with you, Mike. It doesn't matter why you come in. If you do it, it's definitely going to make you a better person, wiser, more accepting, and just connected to humanity as a whole.
Yeah, you fear what you don't understand. That's just
true,
generally human a reaction to foreign things. So for me, I went to the military to get the hell out of Southwest Michigan because I'd never even seen the ocean. Like literally never saw the ocean.
Wow.
I joined the fucking Navy.
Where'd you go to boot camp?
Hey.
Great Lakes, Illinois.
Oh, there you go. I saw the
ocean. It's Lake Michigan. Shit.
You didn't go far, yeah.
But I mean, like, for me, it was like a way to, it was a tool to help me finance my reinvention, if you will. That's my kind of way of putting it. I was thinking about writing this down. Is like, I couldn't afford to reinvent myself because I couldn't get outside my circumstances.
Me too.
I was in a shitty place. I just couldn't get out of it. No matter what I did, I would make 3 steps forward and life would hit me in the face with a knuckle, like brass knuckles, like Richard was saying, and knock my ass back in my place. Poverty is cruel. And it's not a safety net. It's a safety snare. Once it gets you, you don't get out. It's really, really hard. So to me, the military was a way to have a floor. Like it's a UBI. It's a UBI for me to build myself up from here. I'll never be at 0. I'll always be whatever the hell E1 was when I win like $800, like fucking $45 or some shit, a month. It's terrible. But like, it's a way to reinvent yourself if you're looking for that, or if you'll be forced, like Rich was saying, you'd be forced into sitting down next to people you would never have given them time of day, and you realize it makes them human again. Like whatever it is, people that come from, like I know a guy on my ship I won't say his name, but he lived in the foothills of West Virginia and never saw a person of color until he was 12 at Walmart. And he's like, Daddy, what's that? Literally,
Wow.
no fucking clue. He didn't know who Snoop Dogg was. Like, he didn't fucking know. And I gave him a nickname of, he had a crazy last name and it rhymed with dog. So I was like, something doggy dog. And he's like, who the hell is that? It's such a cultural, I don't know, man. I don't know how to put it, like a cultural bloodbath where you're forced. Even at boot camp, man, you have people that are in your face telling you what to do. And if you're racist, that's got to be a jagged pill to swallow. Be like, I guess I can't express my racism here. You learn to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Interesting point, boys, because over here in the comments, Trump for Yang podcast is calling me out saying, oh, you mean by talking to each other, we can learn? It's exactly what you said. Is like, no, you open your mouth on this, someone will beat you down about it. And that is just a cold reality. It's not being able to like, well, I'm going to voice my racist opinion. Maybe we'll have some kind of dialectical experience here. No, it's like you open your mouth that way. As Blair was saying, no one in her school her children's school had the moral courage to verbally slap that kid down and haul the parents in and say, I don't care what you talk about at home, but this shit doesn't fly here. And so it is not intellectual discourse at boot camp. It is like this. These are the rules. Go ahead. Sorry.
There's also something to be said about it puts us all on an even playing field. Like I was a poor kid and I'm E1 with all the middle class kids, right? You don't outclass me in the military, right? So you are all like me and every E1 is on the same level up until I was in E4. We're all on the same level, right? Me, the poor kid with all these, So I think there's definitely something to be said about that. You remove a lot of variables that divide people.
It's kind of that, and I know that experience is a little different for women, but I mean the whole shaving the head ritual. Yeah, and if you remember, I don't know how it was for you, but I remember looking across. I lived in a Quonset hut when I was going through training, and looking at the kid across me with his shaved head and his pimply ass face. And I mean, who knows what that kid looks like today? But I remember he threw up and he almost got it on my boots that I just polished. But it's cruel. It is. The whole process is just a little bit brutal.
Yeah. We got to weed out the non-hackers. That's just the way it is. That's life. That's combat. That's the military,
Heidi, I don't know about you. It looks like you have quite a bit of hair too. I had a lot of hair, me and my best friend, when we joined, and we got shit on daily just for having hair. They would scream really silly stuff like hair gel, like in our faces. And be like, you don't need hair now. You're in the military. And we're like, I just want to keep my hair in a bun. I don't want to.
Were you Air Force?
I was Air Force, yeah.
We had to cut our hair.
Yeah, we got
and every other
our hair. If your bun was like
short,
too big.
Short haircut. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, it had to be above your shoulders, but if you could wear it in a bun and it didn't like come outside of this certain diameter, you were good.
Okay, so it was in boot camp. We all had to cut off our hair, and then like you guys do have looser standards even after that the Navy doesn't have. So
they put a girl's hair in a ponytail. They go like this, and they grab it and go whap. Straight.
I would have died. Yeah, that's awful. I mean, I did eventually cut my hair off right before I was going to go on a deployment. And that's when I found out I had cervical cancer. So I pretty much cut my hair off for no reason because I ended up not going anyway. But yeah, it's pretty rough. And I've thought about that a lot. Like, why are they so terrible? And I think they really are breaking you down so that they can build you back up as something better. So there's a matter of having to strip you of what you've brought along with you so that they can fill you in with something better.
Well, that's boot camp. They take away your identity. They take
and then put you all on an even playing field.
Well, they take your name. No one called me recruit Littlefield. Is, hey, you fucking idiot, come here. Like you didn't have a name for about a month. Like you didn't get called. And plus, I had Marine Corps drill instructors in the Navy. They hated our guts. You little fucking
man, that's the worst.
They're rough, man. And but like it like you're saying, Heidi, it put everybody on a even playing field, and it forces you to take orders from people that you might brought up as an inferior to you. And now the real world says, oh, but a contraire, mon frere, this is not the truth. And they take away your identity, every label you came with. It doesn't matter. You're a piece of shit and dungarees.
Whatever you think you are, you're not.
You are lower than snail shit, you know.
Exactly.
And then
it breaks people down and it puts them all on the same playing field. And you learn to work with people that don't look like you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you learn to work with, men that learn to work with women. When gay people came into the military, you learn to work with gay people, and then that was it. But you were all on a same playing field, right? Like whether you. You knew if somebody wasn't on your plate, you knew what they were. Like your LPO in the Navy, your first sergeant, whatever. You knew where people were, why they were there, what. So
it's very transparent.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I saw one of my drill instructors in Quantico, where he was an officer candidate, and he had tape around his glasses. He had one of his boots was unbloused. He was all jacked up looking. I gotta tell you, I didn't have the heart to make fun of him. I didn't, here's a person who you bear this hatred in your heart. And then I saw him, which is what I probably look like in his eyes when I was his subject. But I mean, literally one trouser unbloused, athletic tape on his glasses, all jacked up looking. And my first instinct was just to just run him up the flagpole, but I didn't even have the damn heart to do that because I had been there before. And but I'm surprised, boys, you had Marine Corps drill instructors. Got to tell you, they are the best or the worst. I guess
the worst. I had them in A school. Yeah,
I liked it the best because it weeded out fuckers real quick. You had people crying themselves to sleep sometimes that first week. You're like, what are you crying about? It was puzzled me that I was baffled that people weren't tougher. Because I was a runner and a wrestler and a fighter. And then I go into boot camp. I'm like, oh, this is just like sports. You just get the shit kicked out of you all day and you go to sleep.
I was one of those weak people. I ran battle stations twice.
I never got in much trouble because I did what I was told. They said to fold your t-shirts a certain way, thin, thick, thick, thin. You never forget that shit. Your underwear is folded this way, dumbass. Your name's put here, dumbass. Everything is a dumbass sandwich, So you just told me once, and if I got in trouble, you drop my ass. I do a bunch of push-ups, and then I never did it again. But then there's some people you can tell them 10 fucking times. They're like the private pile of boot camp. Everybody's got one. You're like, this fucker just don't get it, and he keeps sticking around. He's taking a beating, And you see that person make it through and they're born again hard, at the other side. They're like, okay, this guy's got balls to stick through that type of torture, that just gets beat down every day for 9 weeks in a row. And you're like, okay, I trust this guy because he can take it and not fold, and that's what drill instructors are doing. They're trying to weed out the non-hackers and break you down. And here's the thing about boot, again, they take away your identity. And they only invite back the traits that they can use and want in the military. They brought back the traits. They appreciated my traits of a decent leader, a smart follower makes a better leader. And then I do what I was told. Like I'm a fucking genius. I'm a genius. I was like, oh Jesus Christ, Petty Officer Littlefield, you're a fucking genius. I was like, thank you, sir.
Words I've never heard in my life, in my career. You're a genius.
That's all it takes to be a genius.
You can be a genius in boot camp. Just apply yourself for about 3 days and you're good to go. And he's like, well, you're a section leader now. If they drop, you drop with them. Make sure their shit's folded right. Okay, sir. And then that's what happens. You then you learn what Navy stands for. Never again volunteer yourself. So all of a sudden, now he knows my name. Now I'm responsible for other people. He don't yell at them. He yells at me. And that's just kind of how the military works. And they give you a quick little thing like, okay, I can trust you is what it comes down to. I trust you to keep those people in line. You do it, they do it. And just kind of, it's this weird little, like a skeleton of a pecking order or I'm trying to think. What was the term you guys think of? Like when it comes to
Hierarchy.
hierarchy. Thank you. I couldn't think of that damn name. It's a quick introduction to hierarchy and reinforcing good behaviors and negatively reinforcing unwanted behavior. And you can apply that the rest of your life with parenting. I was a better parent because of the military. I think I was a better college student. Like I graduated high school 3.22. I'll never forget that damn number. And I didn't even try. I did not try. I didn't read a fucking book in high school until Flowers for Algernon.
Yeah, some friends of mine enlisted right out of high school and then came to college. We crossed paths. I was graduating. They were there, and they would come and visit me when I was in college. And their take on it was, so wait a minute. I just have to be sober for 15 hours a week. And so these are Marine infantrymen, but they sailed. They literally sailed through college because, and we're talking about, which path you go on. And both these kids and both these guys had tough lives. One of the guys' dad was actually killed by the mob. That's how tough his life was. And they enlisted in the Marine Corps but it's so funny after 40 years in the infantry, and then they go out to really good and just sailed through that. And knowing the way we all were when we were together in school, it might have been a very, very different thing 4 years earlier. And I think to them, they appreciated college more. And they were even because it's just like being junior enlisted is like separating out the bullshit from what's really important, and in college my buddies figured out right away, I just have to read these books and be sober. This is easy. No one's trying to kill me. Excellent.
Well, that's the thing too. Like you go to college, like I went to college, it was my GI Bill money, my Navy college money, like that had I don't know, man. I felt, first of all, I was honored to have it because I felt like I earned it. Yeah. And it's a special thing to me. This is what I've earned. This little nest egg that's going to help me never go back to a trailer park the rest of my life and make sure if I ever have kids, never have my kids grow up in poverty either. Like that's how I saw the Navy college fund was like my golden ticket to out of poverty. I'll never go back type of thing. And so when I went to college, I got a 3.85 in college. I tried really hard. And I worked a full-time job on third shift. When I was married, I had 2 kids. And everybody's like, how the hell do you do it? I was like, I've done worse. I fucking done worse.
Racking and 12-hour shifts, 12 hour shifts, 7 days a week, and sharing a bed with somebody.
Well, like I stood, you're out there for 12 hours a day breaking fucking ice. That's just going to form again. Yep. Like, why don't we wait a couple of hours and do it? No, just keep breaking off as it builds. I'm like, what? Why don't we wait like 4 hours and all of us warm up? Let's all warm up and go out there and get at it later. It's thicker, but we'll get it. Nope. Every hour you're out there. You 15 minutes, you 15 minutes. 4 people rotate 15 minutes. Bang, 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 bang. And you just hand off the sledgehammer. 10-pound sledge, and you're whacking out. You're trying to hit the angle irons, and it breaks real nice. But and not sleeping, that happens. Not sleeping, and when you do get sleep, it's not always comfortable. You're in a coffin locker on a ship that's moving and making a lot of noise. And there's assholes in your berthing area that's listening to music and watching movies or playing cards or who knows what, and like. All of a sudden you get to go home where it's quiet. You can control your environment, and you get to go to school where no one's talking shit to you for the most part. You just put your head down, do your job, and you're rewarded. Mm-hmm. That is the easiest life you'll ever live. Coming from my background, that was heaven. It's predictable. Oh, I love predictable and stable. That's like what I've been looking for my whole life was stability and predictability. The military was unpredictable. It was stable but unpredictable, but college, that's Disney World, man. It's Chuck E. Cheese shit. Disney World, and there's girls there. Like what?
Did you have girls in your Navy?
Not really. Not on my ship. I went to a small ship.
Did you all take advantage of the post 9/11 GI Bill?
No, I got out in 98.
I did.
Blair?
Where do I start? So yes, I have the post 9/11 GI Bill. I was going to Pensacola State College. I transferred to a different duty station when I got out, and I came back to Florida and I re-enlisted in ITT Tech. I signed up under my post 9/11 GI Bill. Guess who still got stuck with that student debt?
You shouldn't have. ITT
Oh, I
Tech.
know. I've talked to lawyers and I've talked to the VA, and it's a whole ridiculous route. So if we're going to talk about veterans on Veterans Day, I'm supposed to have the post 9/11 GI Bill. I had it. It worked fine. The paperwork was filed incorrectly by the school. It was all fraudulent, which is why ITT closed in the first place. Yep. And I am the one stuck with those student loans as of this day. I was told it could be 10 years before it's fixed. And over that time, it ruins my credit if I don't pay it.
Right.
So that's something when people always ask me about, veterans, it's not just me. I meet people all the time who, are supposed to have a benefit, or they can't get through, or they're waiting months and months and months and months when they have an important medical problem and they can't get seen, or they're not being heard, or a record is missing, or whatever. It's actually quite ridiculous. And it's something obviously very personal to me. I've actually not returned to school because I've been so I got shit on. So I'm like, I don't want to get more shit on, I would love to finish my education, but I'm even just nervous to try to move forward with it after what I went through and the fact that I'm still saddled with this debt.
Unbelievable. That's how crazy expensive college is. I used $30,000 and still had to borrow $55,000. And I worked full-time at a factory on third shift, 8 to 12-hour shifts. I was half asleep. I had to stand up most of the time. Throughout 6 years of school, I had to stand up in the back of the class, hold my books. If I sat down, I fell the fuck asleep. I was tired, And I would stand on a balancing board or in a wheelchair and balance the two wheels to keep my mind engaged and not fall asleep. And all my instructors knew, here comes Boyce. He smells like a greasy-ass factory worker, and he's half asleep. That's who I was. And sometimes I came in clean. That was nice. I didn't have to work overtime on it. I just come in I can go take a shower. This is awesome. But college is so ridiculous. And it's inconsistent in between states, because some states really take care of their veterans, like Illinois. If you go to Illinois, you go to college for free, any state college for 4 years for free without using your GI Bill money. You don't even use it. You can go back to masters with that shit in Illinois.
South Dakota they give you 4 years or a month of school for every month that you serve, but you have to use all your other benefits first. So.
Somebody asked what the GI Bill is. So it's basically the post 9/11 GI Bill specifically is post 9/11. If you served in the military for X amount of active duty days, that they'll pay for your college tuition. So that's what the GI Bill is.
All of it.
And it was a return to the post World War II GI Bill. We had a really good GI Bill for after post World War II that our grandparents and great grandparents. Went to it was really good for them, and we chipped away at it over the years. So before the post 9/11 GI Bill, it was a pretty. You really didn't want to join the military for that GI Bill.
It was $14,700.
I tell you that the thing about the World War II GI Bill is a friggin' myth. If you're an African American, if you're black,
I didn't hear you.
Oh,
it's a myth. If you're black, you got nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you, it is unbelievable. Whether it was education, whether it was a home loan, they were denied. They were denied all these Allen towns that were built for veterans. You could not get in if you were black. They're deed restricted. So if you take a look at the statistics, it was great if you were white. And then we have this myth of how good this World War II GI Bill was. You take a look at the statistic for black people. Even if you, by some fluke, got a college loan, you had to find a college in 1946 that would take you if you were black. And it was not going to happen.
Is that why they weren't eligible for it? Because the colleges wouldn't?
No, they weren't eligible. They were not eligible for it. Because here was the horrific deal made on the GI Bill. is that GI Bill to pass the GI Bill deal had to be made with Southern
Dixiecrats.
With Dixiecrats, and they would be administered by the states. That's why we still have state VA organizations to this day. And so to get this GI Bill passed, power to administer it and pass the money through and take your cut had to go to Southern politicians. And they absolutely, and it wasn't just Southern politicians. There's Northern politicians as well that systemically denied VA benefits or GI Bill benefits to African Americans.
Or even what jobs you can get as an African American is like 3.
Well, I'll tell you what, not during the Battle of the Bulge. If you're a truck driver and all of a sudden you found yourself in the Bulge, hey, my friend, you are now an infantryman and a comrade in arms. Load your magazines and stand shoulder to shoulder with me. But I'll tell you what, Heidi, and not to shit on what you were saying, but that is a myth about the GI Bill being.
No, I had no idea that it was withheld from Black people.
Google on this one is your friend, my friend, and
well, when you Google, it doesn't. They don't like to tell you that. Unless you specifically Google that, but no, that's news to me. So they intended the post 9/11 GI Bill to be what they promised. At least now it's all ruined. Now that I know this,
I'll tell you one of the nice things I thought about the post 9/11 GI Bill was the ability to transfer it to your children or your dependents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I thought that was brilliant and just, and also that it paid housing and cost based just like our variable housing allowance.
Yeah, BH.
I did think about going to pursue a PhD in the Bay Area to suck up that giant housing allowance.
Right.
I did not do it, but yeah, it's a huge improvement. Not perfect, but a huge improvement. Blair, of course, with her experience at ITT. And when you've got, that whole, in fact, I was my anger this morning about this op-ed I was writing. I was thinking exactly about the case that Blair found herself in with the pay for play or the for-profit colleges. Yeah. And I was before the show, I was driving out to pick up cigarettes. So bad on me. But I was listening to NPR and they were talking about Betsy DeVos, who never once in her life attended a public school. Never once in her life. Her children didn't. She never attended public schools, and defending these for-profit colleges that are preying on. And if you take a look at the statistics, Phoenix, ITT, those other schools, literally the post 9/11 veterans was the friggin'
they were the mark. Yeah, they were the mark, man. Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure that there's something you can do about that. I'm going to get a hold of you after this.
It's already going through lawsuits. So I think the last one they just did is called Peaks. So they did forgive some of the student loans. They have yet to get to federal student loans.
Okay.
And ITT purged all of their records way before this ever got to court. There's no transcripts. There's not a whole lot of paperwork to prove a lot of things. It's just very much kind of out to wash. It's awful. But if you can help me, I'm all for it because it sucks. But after years of trying to pursue this and talk to lawyers and keep up with it and just repeatedly been told, it can be 10 years before it even gets to court. I'm just, it kind of sucks. It's like I either pay it or I let it destroy my credit.
Wow.
I've not paid it. I'll be completely honest. I've made a couple payments, but mostly out of spite. I shouldn't have to pay this money, so I'm not going to. And then my credit tanked because of it. And now I'm like, okay, I guess I will play the game because it's only hurting myself to not pay it. But at the same time, it's very wrong that I'm stuck with it. At least for several more years.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, I'm sorry, Mike. I said Richard. There's a special.
Should I flex my arms a little bit?
That's right. You got the weight, son. You got those weights. He's making me feel bad about myself. I'm going to show you something, Richard. There's somewhere I'd like to take your article and actually put it. If you don't mind, I would like to add that to our veterans tab here. These are all the articles that have been written by the veterans for Yang people.
That's awesome.
if you want to, I can include that there for people to look at your article.
Yeah. Let me send it to you. I'll just link it to you on.
Just email or whatever. Yeah, and I'll put that here on our veterans homepage. Because that's actually Heidi. You got a couple in here too, don't you?
I don't rate. My post Yang 2021 I think is up there.
Yeah, it was all the great people. There you are.
Oh yeah, that's mine. Yeah.
We got the whole catalog here. Honestly,
That's awesome.
So it goes. There's more than that. It's just what's on the first page. But yeah, so I'm just trying to Richard Porter reached out to me and said, "Hey, we'd like to stop spending money on a website. Can you put it on yours?" I'm like, "Shit, yeah, hell yeah, it's Gang and veterans, you know."
That might be there on Twitter for you on your DM.
Okay. I'll add it and stuff and put that up there, and we'll share the shit out of it and make sure enough eyeballs get on it, and especially today, If we'd have known about this, we could have done this earlier. But that's all right.
Does anybody know what time Applebee's closes?
I was just going to ask you if you were still going to Applebee's. We don't even have an Applebee's, or I'd be interested. But
I got to get going too, guys. Honestly,
before you let Heidi go, can you share with us maybe your favorite memory of being in the service?
I didn't have as good of an experience as I'd like to tell. I'm an advocate for women veterans, especially women veterans that have experienced military sexual trauma. So when asked that, I'm sure that there's good things, but I can't always come up with them on the spot because a lot of my service is tainted that way. But I still, weirdly, am still a proud veteran. Proud American. I love my country. I love my brothers and sisters in arms. But that's not a question I can answer off the cuff.
Fair enough. And thank you for standing up against it and not just idle by. A lot of people do shut down after trauma, and to stand up and still fight against it just shows how strong you really are. So thank you.
I'm 15 years out of the military, so I shut down for a good 10.
It happens. It's understandable.
Yeah. What about you?
I had a lot of fun in the military, but I had a lot of bad times too, but that was not necessarily related to my actual military job. I don't know. One of my favorite memories is I was actually working for the base commander, and they came and gave me these stack of folders, and I shredded stuff all the time. But this stack was red folders, and it said confidential, and it wasn't my security clearance level. And they're like, "Hey, shred this," and I was like, I'm like, so took a little peek, and it was some maps, and I was like, you know what, I can't even look at this, and I definitely can't shred it, and I gave it back. And they were just like, well, you're no Ollie North, are you? And I was like, I don't know who Ollie North is at the time. I was 17 when I joined the military, so I was probably 18, 19 at this point, and I was just like, I don't even know who Ollie North is. And they were just like, well, you did a good job, and they took the folders away from me. And that was actually one of my favorite moments, just because it kind of taught me something. And then I looked up who Ollie North was, and it just reinforced a level of integrity and accountability that I have carried with me to this day, is just making the moral choice. And I'm sure that I learned that before the military, but it definitely reinforced that in me, to have just a strong, I can stand my ground for what's right. Even if somebody orders me to do something that is wrong, I know the difference. And I have that choice as a human being to make for myself. And I just think more people should have that level of accountability. So that's actually one of my favorite memories, just because it changed my perspective and my life a little bit, even if it's an insignificant moment otherwise.
Well, I'm going to feel horrible for my story after that, but I'm still going to share it. In the Navy, you get put overseas, and you get to stay out. They trust you to stay out later by rank.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was an E4, and then I got capped to E5, and I got my E5, and we're over in Spain, or I'm sorry, in Marseille, France. And French people hate our guts as far as the military, because we come in, we tear the town up. We just destroy everything. We drink and we raise all kinds of hell. And we puke everywhere. It's just kind of a thing. And so they're like, they don't want us around. And so when you leave, you got to go out in parties of 4. You got to come back 4 deep. You got to come back with them. You sign out together. Well, me and my 3 buddies go out, And then Tyler goes, Google's so here we are in France, and we all stayed out, and we're supposed to be back by midnight because you got to come back at the time of the lowest ranking person. So one of the guys was E4, and he had to come back by midnight. I was E5. I could stay out till 2. And so I was like, we're all drunk, and the one guy's really drunk, and he couldn't walk. Like, he was in bad shape. We're like, we got to get in a cab and get the hell out of here. We got to get back by midnight. We got about 15 minutes, and the ship's way over there. So you're trying to get in a cab, and the cab driver is like, he's not getting in my car. He's going to throw up. He's terrible. We're like, oh, come on. Then all of a sudden, none of them would give us a ride. They all said, no way in hell. I'm like, dude, we got to get to that ship in 15 minutes. And we're in France, by the way. We're getting cussed out in French. We don't know what they're saying. And these stupid American kids were like 20, 19, and we're wasted, you know? And then I was like, then my sobriety came back to me in a flash of like crisis. I'm like, okay, guys, we're screwed. So if we start walking, we're going to be late. We're going to be late by like probably half an hour. And we're all getting in trouble. We'll be in front of the old man, and we're going to get in trouble, you know? And they're like, right. I'm like, so what if we're like 6 hours late? We're still in trouble. We're still in front of the old man. So let's just have one good night. So,
I like where it's going.
And I was like, so let's just bite the bullet. Let's have fun. Let's make it one last hurrah, because we're fucked when we get back to that ship. Here's the best part. We had a new officer from the academy.
Oh, God.
And so we get back to the ship at 6 a.m. Everyone's mustering at 6:30. And then PT at 7. And we're drunk. And we come waddling our asses back, half crocked, and we sneak up on the flight deck, and we go to sign ourselves back in, and then we're already signed in. I'm like, oh, woo, yes. We took off running, changed, showered, and shaved real quick, got in line, mustered, and then we get done. They check us off. We turn in the muster, and my officer goes, Littlefield, Peterson, Dinko, Pyers, over here. And I'm like, why did he pick us for? We just got here. We didn't do nothing, you know? So we pull, he goes, you four. He was on watch when we were supposed to be back. And he was a new officer. And his E5 and 3 E4s in his department were all not there. He signed us in, stuck his neck out for us, but we owed him.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of painting, a lot of scraping, a lot of cleaning. I had to clean his cabin. All that kind of shit, of course. We owed him. He goes, you motherfuckers, you know, and he was like giving us that thing. He's like, motherfuckers, talking outside of his mouth. We're like, sir, thank you. He goes, your asses belong to me. We're like, understood. He goes, it's better than the old man. I cannot be the first time in front of the damn old man. Is you four? We're like, he goes, Littlefield, I've heard good things about you. What the fuck's going on with you? I was like, sir, we were going to be late. So I'm in trouble for 5 minutes or 5 hours. So we said, fuck it, 5 hours it is. I'm going to earn this write up, you know? And I use some math.
That's actually really awesome, though. That was smart of him. Kind of a way to build like camaraderie with his new people.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's a beneficial relationship because he stayed out of the trouble, we stayed out of trouble, and we all owed him. So he had the cleanest cabin. His boots were fucking shiny as shit. I had to iron his damn uniforms, and because in the Navy you send it down, like the officers get free dry cleaning type of thing on the ship. They send it down, it gets pressed and sent back up to him. He didn't bother. He made us do it. And like that's one of the coolest experiences because us four said, you know what, fuck it, we're family. You know, we're all going down together. And then our officer covered our back, and then we owed him. But then after that, we had a different type of relationship with our officer, you know, our comms officer, which was it's a hush hush. Why does he treat us that way? Why does he talk to us like that? Because he can. You know, like he could shit on us all the time. We wouldn't say nothing, you know, he'd be like, oh, shut the fuck up, boys. Or Littlefield, you know, I'm like, yes, sir. Every time, sir, sandwich, you know. Like that was like one of my funnest moments because I thought we were so screwed. You know, talk about coming from the brinks of depths of suffering to rising like a phoenix. You know, and
It's pretty funny.
it's crazy. And I'll never forget those guys, man. Pete, Griner, and Pyres. It just, you know, like you said before, you guys said before, it's family. It's a forever bond. We still talk. It was one in Chicago.
Still shining his shoes.
I wish I could catch up with that officer. His name was Lieutenant Spivey. I'll never forget him. I'd like to find him someday. He saved my ass, man, and probably saved me a damn stripe too. You know, I just got E5. That's a big bump in pay too, and responsibility because E5, you don't do the bullshit no more. You are in charge of the bullshit. You're middle management. You know, and if you really want the guys to like you, you help. You lead by example, which I always help paint and scrape, but at the same time, I could walk away from it and you couldn't, you know, like keep working. Goddamn, my arms are tired, you know, and just kind of, it's just this fun relationship you learn to do in the military. And you get put in leadership positions at a young age, man. That's not normal. And that what's that called? Like your trial by fire, man. You know, and I must say all 4 years were good experiences, good or bad. It was the best mistake I ever made. Serendipity blessed me because my car caught fire and I had to quit my job.
Wow.
Seriously, like I had a job and I had to quit. I joined the military and I had nothing but the best 4 years of my life serve with the best people. Yeah. You know, and I'll never look back without any kind of regret, even the bad shit that happened. Like it's still a great 4 years, you know. And again, from a white male point of view, it's a different experience too. Where I served on a ship with no women, where it was just 200 dudes, it's like a floating frat house, you know. And everywhere we went, we raised hell.
And I was on a ship with probably about 200 dudes and then like 85 women. So
he's on a cruiser or a destroyer?
Destroyer.
See, I was on a freighter.
It's probably more than that. It's about 85 women, probably about 220, 230 men.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man. And Mike, you've been all over the goddamn world doing this crap. There's no telling.
Well, my great story, my fondest remembrance. You know, I'm lucky. My wife is also a Marine, and so it's cool that we've been able to share. You know, so many experiences. She went to Afghanistan before I did. You know, I was retired when she went to Afghanistan, and she came home and said, "Dude, it's a crazy place. You got to go." I'm like, "Yeah, screw it, okay." And I got a job as a contractor and went on Afghanistan. But here's, I'll tell you two stories. The first one is like the funniest thing, silliest thing I've seen, and probably appeal to you. It was Camp Lejeune. I'm an artilleryman. We were out shooting, and the impact area was going to be closed down because they were going to be flying night close air over it. So we couldn't shoot artillery into it. And I was sitting there with my CO, you know, eating our rotten chow. And all of a sudden the Marines are setting a camouflage net up in the middle of the gun position and piling up trash underneath it. And the CO said to me, he's like, XO, you need to go and find out what the Marines are up to. So I walked out there to my gunny and said, "Gunny, what are you up to?" He's like, "Sir, we're making a bear trap." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "We're not shooting tonight. So the center pole of the camouflage net's tied to a rope, and the fire watch will have the rope. And when the bear comes to eat the garbage, we're going to pull the rope out, and the net will fall down, and then we'll got the bear." I'm like, "Sounds good. Then what?"
They're thinking.
And he's like, he just sat there for a minute. He goes, "Hey, you Marines, take that net down, pick all that trash up." But
yeah.
That was his,
then what is a great question.
They had not made it. Yeah. But here's my one of my fondest memories of the Marine Corps, and most of them involve my wife, which is very fortunate for me. But so this may be hard for people to believe, but it was Marine Corps birthday, which was November 10th yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
And,
Happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday.
245 years, or no wait,
245.
Incredibly late. It is incredibly late, and my wife and I are drunk as shit in our dress uniforms. I mean, medals, dress blues, you can imagine the whole regalia. And we are in Heinold's First and Last Chance Bar in Jack London Square in Oaktown. And this is a place that literally Jack London drank in. And it was called the First and Last Chance because it was the last place a sailor would drink before they went to sea. And it was the first place they came to when they got back. So this is a notorious place. Tilted floor, the whole thing. So we'd been to a Marine Corps birthday celebration, and we had apparently we were very thirsty. We must have been working out. We were very thirsty. And so we went on, continued the effort at Hunold's First and Last Chance Saloon. And the place is closed. And the only people in it are me and Lynn in full dress regalia, clanking medals and all the other crap, and two hardcore commies. They are Oakland dock worker communist organizers. And so the four of us have got our heads together at this little table with a little candle going, and we're just talking political philosophy. That's it. So you got two Marines in full dress regalia and two card-carrying members of the American Communist Party with their heads together. And it is way after hours, probably 3 a.m. And the door opens up and two Oakland police officers walk in at this place that is closed down, and they see the commies and the Marines with their heads together. And I hope my wife is not listening, but she flies off her bar stool backwards in her dress blues and lands back up on the floor. And the two Oakland cops just take a look in and just slowly back out. They're like, I don't want to know what the hell is going on in here. But being able to have shared the last part of my Marine Corps career with my wife, who's it's just been it was really, so we met in the last part of my career, and being able to share it with her has been probably the most rewarding part. And all the Marines that I love and have lost and have served with, I have very, very fond memories of it. But being able to have done that with my wife, and I'm the only person, probably yesterday morning, very early, probably 6 o'clock, she came dragging into the kitchen, and I said, "Happy birthday, Jarhead." And I'm probably the only person who can call their wife Jarhead at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's my dumb story.
Not get punched in the nuts, right?
Next time we do this, you need to bring Lynn.
Okay.
Oh man, yeah.
I got to hear her side of all this.
I got to meet his wife in person down in Kentucky during the primary, and his whole staff. He had some young, sharp people.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. The two brothers. What's their names, Mike? The two brothers, the genius, and then your campaign manager.
No, they're both genius.
The kid, the youngest one's like in high school.
Liam and Oliver.
Liam and Oliver.
Oh, Liam's brother was there, or
Oliver's 17, and people were saying, "Where's Broihier getting all this money to make these incredible videos?" And Oliver is a high school senior. He's 17, making him in the basement. And yeah, they were. I'm glad you got to meet them, dude, because they were just sharp, and I love them. They were the great young talent of the future. And Oliver is a shameless kid, and I love it. He has no shame. He gets out there. He'll carry a sign and he'll get your attention. You're not going to know him. I got to tell you what hooked Oliver before even Liam. I was giving a talk about education, and this is all it was. I said, you know what? It shouldn't just be for college. It should be for if you want to be in a trade. We shouldn't force you into this path to go to college. If you want to be an electrician or a plumber, that you should be able to get money. It shouldn't just be for college. Everyone, particularly as Heidi was talking about, was the left is always holding their nose, right? But I said, I don't care. Anything that is beyond post-secondary education, we should make 0% interest loans available to them, no matter what it is they want to pursue. And he wants to be a plumber. Oliver wants to be a plumber, and it's what he wants to do. And he heard that, and he said, this young, earnest 17-year-old kid said, I was sold at that minute. And he was sold before his brother, who became a campaign manager, was. But and Heidi, going back to the absolute truth in what you were speaking of earlier about how sometimes that we can be a bit hold your nose. And I always made it a point when I was campaigning to not emphasize college and having a degree, but anything you want to do. You want to be an electrician. You want to, if you are pursuing a degree or a certificate at any kind of accredited program, 0% loans from the federal government, and none of you would have friggin' college debt.
I still owe $22,000 after 15 years.
Can't even imagine, dude.
$22,000.
Biden's gonna forgive 10 of it, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'll hold my breath and hope I don't die in the meantime.
What do you think, guys? Should we wrap this up before Richard comes back? Because we may not ever get out.
We'll be here all night if he comes back.
Applebee's is closing soon. Heidi, you better.
I gotta go get my free meal, guys.
Go get your penny pasta. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a great 2 hours. If you ever want to do it again, just hit me up. We'll do it again. It's always fun. And hopefully I see you guys in Georgia.
See you in Georgia.
I'll be there.
I'll be in Georgia too.
Happy Veterans Day, guys.
Happy Veterans Day, Heidi. Happy Veterans Day.
Service.